There is a wide-mouthed glass jar sitting on the floor of my pantry behind a sack of flour. It is half buried in a small mound of sawdust. Inside the jar, at the bottom, is 1 tablespoon of peanut butter and 3 drops of something you can buy at any feed store for $6. Every mouse that has crossed my kitchen floor in the last 11 years has ended up in that jar within 48 hours of moving in. The cat does not touch it. My dog does not touch it. My grandchildren crawl past it on the floor, and it does not harm them. The barn owl that nests in my hayloft is not poisoned by it, the way she would be if she ate a mouse that had eaten the bait blocks they sell at the hardware store. It only catches one thing. I have lived on this farm for 58 years, and I have a barn, 2 outbuildings, a chicken coop, and a pantry full of stored wheat that would feed a mouse colony for a century. We have no exterminator on contract. We have no bait stations under the sink. We have no glue traps, no snap traps clattering at night, no poison pellets hidden behind the dryer. I'm going to show you exactly what we do, in the order we do it, with what it costs and where to put it. Then I am going to tell you the part that should bother you, which is that the pest control companies serving your town have known about this for 50 years, and most of them still tuck black plastic bait stations against the foundation of your house with a chemical inside called bromadiazone, a chemical that kills the mouse 3 days later, after the mouse has wandered back out into the yard and been eaten by your neighbor's cat, or by an owl, or by the hawk you put up a perch for last spring, because a glass jar from the thrift store does not refill itself every quarter at $180 a visit. Stay with me. By the end of this, you will know how to clear the mice out of your house and your outbuildings this weekend for less than the cost of 1 service call. And the predators on your property, the ones doing the real work, will be alive in the morning to keep doing it. Let me start with what most folks get wrong, because if you do not understand this, none of the rest will work. Mice are not coming into your house because your house is dirty. They are not coming in because you left a crumb on the counter. They are coming in because it is October and the temperature outside dropped below 50 degrees for the first time, and every field mouse within 200 yards of your foundation is looking for a warm wall to live in for the winter. Your house is a cave. The cave is warm. They are coming. It has nothing to do with you. A single female mouse will have her first litter 6 weeks after she is born. She will have a new litter every 3 weeks after that for the rest of her life. 5 to 8 pups per litter. By spring, 1 mouse in your wall in October is 100 mice in your wall in March. That is the whole game right there. If you wait until you see 1 in the kitchen, you are already 6 weeks behind. If you set the trap before the cold snap, you catch the scouts, the first 1 or 2 who came in to see if the cave was safe, and the rest of the colony never moves in. This is what my grandfather did the first cool night of September every year without fail. He set the jars. He called it closing the gate. The English want to poison the mouse after the colony is established and the walls are already loud at night. We catch the scout in September. Our way takes about an hour once a year. Their way takes a quarterly bill and a dead owl in the yard. Here is what I want you to do this weekend. You need 3 things. 1 wide-mouthed glass jar. A gallon pickle jar from the thrift store is perfect, but any jar with vertical sides at least 9 inches tall will do. 50 cents. A small bag of plain sawdust or wood shavings, free from any lumber yard, or the pine bedding they sell at the feed store for hamster cages, about $4 a bag. And 1 small bottle of pure peppermint essential oil, $6 at the feed store, or any health food store or online. That is your kit. Total under $11. You set the jar on the floor, on its side at first, against the wall where you have seen droppings, or where you suspect a mouse is traveling. Mice move along walls. They do not cross open floors if they can help it. Behind the refrigerator, along the back of a pantry, behind a washing machine. In the corner of the garage by the door, these are the highways. You mound sawdust around the jar so that the lip of the jar is level with the top of the mound. The mouse will run up the ramp because the ramp is the highest point along the wall, and mice climb to investigate. Inside the jar, at the very bottom, you put 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, smooth, not crunchy. A mouse will work on peanut butter for 2 or 3 minutes trying to get every bit. That time is what catches her. Then, and this is the part the trapping books leave out, you put 3 drops of peppermint oil on the outside of the jar, on the rim, where the mouse will smell it as she goes in. Mice hate peppermint. Every study on rodent repellents going back to the 1940s confirms it. But a mouse that smells peppermint at the opening of a jar that also smells like peanut butter will go in anyway, because the food drive overrides the avoidance, and then once she is in, the smell at the rim makes her too disoriented to find her way back out before the smooth glass walls defeat her. She cannot climb glass. She cannot jump 9 inches straight up from a flat bottom. She is in the jar until morning. In the morning, you carry the jar a 1/4 mile from the house, across a road, over a fence, somewhere a mouse cannot walk back from in one night, and you tip her out. She lives. Your owl is not poisoned. Your cat is not at risk. Your grandchildren did not find a snap trap with their bare fingers under the couch. Now, here is the part the pest control industry does not want a homeowner thinking about clearly. The bait blocks they put in those black plastic stations against your foundation contain second-generation anticoagulants. Bromadiazone, brodifacoum, difenacoum. These chemicals do not kill the mouse where she ate them. They kill her 3 to 7 days later, somewhere else after she has bled internally and wandered out into the yard looking for water. The owl that finds her dying body, the hawk, the neighbor's cat, the fox that keeps the rabbits out of your garden, they all get a dose of the poison too, because the poison does not break down in the mouse's body. It accumulates. A barn owl that eats 6 poisoned mice over a month is a dead owl. 20 years of studies from California, the UK, and most of Western Europe have shown the same pattern. Bait stations on suburban houses are the largest single killer of urban raptors in North America. The pest companies know. The chemical companies know. They keep selling it because it is cheap, it is legal, and the dead owl is invisible to the customer who signed the contract. A glass jar does not have that problem. Now, before I go on, let me say a word about the part you cannot buy at the feed store, which is walking your foundation. Once a year, the last week of August before the cold starts, walk all the way around the outside of your house slowly with a flashlight, even in the daytime. You are looking for one thing: any hole bigger than the diameter of a pencil. A mouse can fit through a hole the size of a pencil eraser. A young mouse can fit through a hole the size of a dime. Around your dryer vent, where the gas line enters the house, where the air conditioning lines come through, under the lip of your siding, around the foundation where pipes go through, these are the doors. Most houses have between 6 and 15 of them. You stuff each one with copper mesh, the kind they sell in rolls at the hardware store for about $8. Not steel wool. Steel wool rusts and falls apart in a year. Copper mesh lasts forever. Push it into the hole with a screwdriver, then seal over it with a dab of caulk or expanding foam. A mouse cannot chew through copper mesh. She will try for an hour and give up. 20 minutes around your house with a flashlight and a roll of copper mesh once a year will keep 90% of the mice out before the jar ever gets used. Exclusion before extermination, always. That is the order. That is what the trappers have known for 150 years and what the bait station companies will not tell you, because if you exclude properly, you do not need them. All right, you have walked your foundation, you have stuffed the holes, you have set 3 jars in the highways. That handles the mice trying to come in now. But you have a problem. There is probably already a colony in your walls from last fall. They are not going to read your mind and walk into the jar in the kitchen when they have a whole subdivision built behind your drywall. So we have to draw them out. What we use is the second piece of the system, which costs almost nothing. Cotton balls and more peppermint oil. You soak 10 cotton balls in peppermint oil, really soak them until they are dripping, and you tuck them into every spot in your house where you suspect mice are nesting and not near where you have set the jars. Behind the water heater, inside the cabinet under the kitchen sink, in the corner of the garage closest to the wall they share with the house. Up against the inside of the foundation in an unfinished basement, the smell drives them out of their nests and pushes them toward the clean corners of the house, which is exactly where your jars are waiting. Refresh the cotton balls every 2 weeks. 1 bottle of peppermint oil lasts a season. I want to leave you with the bigger picture because I think it matters. The Lord told the saints to be wise stewards of the earth. He did not tell them to spray poison along their foundations every 90 days and call a stranger to do it. The pioneers who walked into the Salt Lake Valley in 1847 had mice in their wagons. They had mice in their first log cabins. They had mice in the granaries they built that first winter when wheat was more precious than gold, and a colony of mice in a grain bin could starve a family. They did not poison those mice. They could not afford to. They built tight granaries, they kept barn cats, they put up owl boxes, and they set traps that did not kill anything else. And here is what bothers me. Every poisoned mouse in your yard is a vote for a sicker ecosystem. The owl that would have eaten 50 mice for you next year is dead because she ate 3 of yours this year. The fox that would have kept the field mice out of your vegetable garden never moved into the woodlot behind your house because there were no live mice left for her to hunt. They were all in plastic boxes full of chemicals. You traded a working food chain for a quarterly invoice. A glass jar, a spoonful of peanut butter, a bottle of peppermint oil, and 20 minutes with a flashlight in August. That is the whole system. It costs $11 the first year and about $4 a year after that. It works in a farmhouse. It works in a suburban split level. It works in a townhouse. In the city, if you have a kitchen and a wall. So this weekend, here's what I want you to do. Walk your foundation with a flashlight and stuff every hole bigger than a pencil with copper mesh. Set 3 jars in the highways inside your house, behind the fridge, behind the washing machine, in the corner of the pantry. Bait them with peanut butter. 3 drops of peppermint oil on the rim of each. Tuck soaked cotton balls in the spots where you suspect a nest. That is your weekend. About $20 in materials. By next Saturday morning, you will know whether you have mice, and if you do, you will have started catching them alive without poison, without putting your owl or your cat or your grandchildren in the line of fire. Tell me in the comments what state you live in and whether you have seen droppings this fall. I read every one. It worked for 100 years before pesticides existed, and it still works better than anything you can buy in a spray bottle.